Hello, beautiful. Welcome to the She Sacral podcast. I'm your host, Lindsay Christian. Let's go ahead and get started with today's episode. Hello, Sacral Beauties. Welcome to the She Sacral podcast. Today, we're going to dive in and talk about the feminine code. So we're going to talk about the soft power of flow and the emotional alchemy in feminine energy. So I'm really excited because we're going to talk about the feminine code not as an aesthetic or stereotype, but as an emotional energy that lives deep within your sacral space. When you reconnect to the soft power of the feminine, you remember your emotions aren't distraction, they're direction. They don't make you unstable, they make you wise. So let's talk about feminine energy. What is the feminine energy when it comes to emotions? So feminine energy is fluidity. It flows, it moves. It's intuition, it's emotional sensitivity, and it's creative magnetism. It's not tied to gender, but it is an energetic polarity, which is typically aligned with women simply because of our hormones. Our hormones are very much aligned with this same type of energy. So it doesn't mean that men can't tap into emotional sensitivity or intuition or anything like that. But naturally, hormonally, our bodies fluctuate. The hormones will actually activate different areas of the brain that trigger heightened intuition, heightened emotional sensitivity, and also creativity and magnetism. So it's really, really powerful. And emotionally, feminine energy allows you to feel before you act, to receive before you produce, and express without shame. It values presence, connection, and sensation over outcome. The feminine doesn't force clarity, it flows into clarity. And it trusts the timing of those emotional tides. We're not just saying, oh, I feel off today. Oh, well, move on, right? It's like, ooh, there's something here. Recognizing that and tuning into it deeper. And sometimes we have to be aware that we can be picking up on an energy or an emotion or a feeling from others that may not really be us or ourselves. And sometimes I do believe that there's collective energy that affects us also. We're not just on this planet by ourselves, but we all impact each other in a collective sense. And so why does feminine energy feel unsafe when it comes to burnout culture, right? That's really common, I've noticed. That it's like, okay, if you want to get things done, you have to be in the masculine energy. We're trained to value the doing, the logic, the control, which is tied to our masculine energy. And it's because those things can be measured. Those things can be seen. Those things can be judged and looked at because it's external. And that's really what the masculine energy is. It's all the external expression of the human energy, while the feminine is the internal energy that we can't see, but we can feel it. Notice you don't really feel the logic. You get what I'm saying? So it's very interesting how these two dynamics work together. Emotion becomes inconvenient when it comes to burnout, right? It feels like, oh my gosh, I don't have time to feel right now. I don't have time to give emotions a lot of energy because I need to get these things done. It feels like a big distraction. Softness gets labeled as weakness. And I think that we've really seen being soft as just, oh, you're so vulnerable, you're weak, you have no protection, you're just there. And you could just be destroyed in just a blip, right? If you're soft. But the softness I'm talking about, it's very different. When you can actually allow for yourself to be soft, even in a chaotic space or even in a space that is not soft, that is some serious strength right there. Because the first thing you want to do is harden. The first thing you want to do is react. The first thing you want to do is hide. But if you can stay in that space and still be soft and sensual, talk about a powerful, centered sense of control within your being. To be able to maintain that is unhuman. It is truly, truly unhuman to be able to do that, but it is powerful. Sensitivity becomes something that you hide or you try to fix. And this can create emotional suppression and really shut down that sacral energy. And so some emotional symptoms that your feminine energy is being shut down due to burnout is that you're pushing through exhaustion. You're not allowing yourself to rest. You are not trusting your intuition. You feel really guilty or you feel ashamed for needing rest or support. And you're resisting being seen in emotional vulnerability. The world has taught you to armor yourself, but power lives in your sense of openness. The feminine holds emotion without needing to fix it right away. And the energy of the feminine knows that healing doesn't happen in control, but through connection. And your emotional fluidity is represented as emotional strength. The more you allow yourself to feel, the more emotionally regulated you become. So the more you shut down those emotions, the more you dysregulate your nervous system. Your nervous system can't figure out exactly what it needs to do when you shut down your emotions, because your body's really, really smart. It has so many resources to be able to take care of you in this space. It has so many mechanisms that it will jump into gear as soon as you are allowing for those emotions to be expressed, as we talked about in the expression code. So definitely be sure to check that out if you haven't tuned into that just yet. Your body knows what to do, but when your mind shuts it down, this will create a dysregulation within your nervous system. And then you're like, my nervous system is fried. Like everybody's talking about nervous system nowadays, right? It's like, oh, this is really good for your nervous system. This is good for your nervous system. If you just allow for yourself to move out of the way and not give so much weight to these emotions, but tune into them, recognize what they're telling you, recognize what you're feeling, and allow for it to move out of your body, you'll be able to get back into flow and have that nervous system be more regulated and more natural and more resilient throughout all the things that may come into your life. But if you're not giving it the opportunity because you feel ashamed or you feel guilty or you don't want to deal with the emotions or it's too much or I don't want to be seen, I don't want to be looked at as it's too much. You are dysregulating your nervous system. I think once we recognize that, it's like, oh, okay, all right. I'm going to work on it. And trust me, I'm saying all this, but I totally just jacked up my whole nervous system at one point because I was in the space of burnout and I kept overriding the things that would help me to get things done. And guess what? All those things that I did, it didn't amount up to be anything. If anything, it was just lessons. It just taught me things, but it didn't actually bring me any level of success or prosperity or the thing that I was after. So you have to really take a step back and know that when you are in the space of just trying to push, we are becoming more and more disconnected from ourselves. So if you feel an emotion today, let that emotion rise without rushing it away. Then just repeat to yourself that you're allowed to be here. You're allowed to express here. You're allowed to feel here. So let's talk a little bit more about soft power and manifesting. And I know that this comes up a lot and you're probably yelling at the speakers right now like, oh, I'm so tired of hearing about manifesting, or maybe you enjoy hearing about it. But soft power has the power to melt the obstacles that keep you from receiving the thing that you want. It helps you to melt the resistance that's blocking you. When we run into this space of resistance, we're feeling really tight. It's almost like you keep hitting a wall. Soft power is kind of like water that dissolves all of the structure or the blockage that has been built that keeps you from getting to the space or the thing that you want in life. So it doesn't force, it flows. It doesn't demand, it draws in the energy, right? It's more of a pulling energy versus a pushing energy. Okay, so let's give an example between push and pull energy. Let's say you're having a conversation with someone, and let's say that you actually want to have a connection. You want to connect deeper with this person. You want to know more about this person, whatever it is. And so this is in the forefront of your mind. I want to connect with this person. I want to build a relationship with this person. So you push. You start sending them a whole bunch of information. You start making a lot of assumptions. You start sharing a whole lot. You start giving a whole lot because you want this connection. But there's lack of you receiving from that person because you are in the mode of pushing this energy outward. And then you might have this thought or feeling to say, yeah, but if I don't do that, I don't get anything. So let's shift the energy and talk about pulling the energy. Pulling looks like creating a safe space for that person to feel comfortable with sharing. Asking, how are you doing today? Without needing an answer for something. How are you feeling today? How's that thing going that you were working on? Are you enjoying it? Giving the opportunity for someone to share. If you're constantly pushing, then you're not in a space of receiving. And that person is kind of just not even receiving. They're being like doused with all of this energy. And so it can be very overwhelming to where it makes the person not want to give. So it does not demand, it draws it in. That's what I mean. You're drawing in the energy. You're almost just kind of there. You almost have this just glow, this magnetism to you. And people just flock right to it. They're like, ooh, I want to know more. Ooh, I'm intrigued. Ooh, I'm curious. If you can start to spark curiosity, intrigue, all of that kind of energy, sometimes being a little mysterious, that pulls people in. We're not pushing it out saying, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me, right? We know that that energy always repels people. It doesn't perform. It remembers. It says, I've been here before. I have wisdom now. I know how to move in this space. It doesn't beg. It is not desperate. It becomes. Instead of begging, please, can I have a quarter? Can I have $1? Can I have $100? Can I have $500? Please, I need this. No, it becomes the person that knows how to generate that money themselves. It starts to learn. It starts to create new habits. It starts to do all the hidden behind the scenes work. That is soft power defined. It's the quiet inner gravity that says, I do not have to pursue what I was designed to attract. I'm designed to have this thing. And not to get too far into astrology, because I'm not an astrologist. And I mean, I sometimes like hit or miss, you know what I mean? Like I'll listen to some things here and there. But one of the things I thought was very interesting was knowing about the rising signs and how that's kind of how you appear to the world is your rising sign. And I know a lot of times we know like our sun sign or whatever, if you're into astrology, right? But your sun sign, but your rising sign is kind of how you appear to people. And if you can find ways to align with that, it will create a natural magnetism. And so I am a Taurus rising, and that is aligned with being more slow paced, with luxury, with sensuality, with slowing down, with just enjoyment, savoring the beauty and wonders and luxuries of life. And I'm like, ooh, what a great rising sign to have. I love that. But I was not aligning with that at all. I was aligning with what I thought would create or bring that to me. And instead of just embodying that and moving into that energy of shifting into that and showing up as that, wearing the clothes and going about my day where I'm slowing down and just enjoying life, that's creating alignment, not trying to put on the clothes and pretend like you are this thing to have the thing, energy always speaks louder. So that's kind of a little example of being designed to attract something. And we will do a whole series on that, so don't worry. But I just wanted to bring that up as an example. So it's really focusing more on embodiment over effort when it comes to self-power and magnetism. You don't manifest what you want, you manifest what you embody. What are you embodying? And I know sometimes the word embodiment can be a little fuzzy or like confusing, or like, well, what do you really mean by embodiment? Like, how do you do that? And that's really about living it in your body before it shows up in your life. So not just thinking about being confident or journaling about abundance or making vision boards and visualizing your desires, but moving and speaking and breathing and showing up as if it is already yours. Pretending, right? Pretend. You don't become magnetic by thinking harder. That's in the masculine. You become magnetic by becoming the woman who already has it. And it can feel really hard. It can feel really hard with embodiment because you can already feel disconnected from your body. Now you're trying to embody something that doesn't feel natural to you. And on top of you already being disconnected with your current self, it's going to feel hard. You may have spent years trying to think your way into safety. When you do this, you start strategizing, you start scheming, you start, lying, cheating sometimes in the negative sense when it's rooted in fear. And you can associate with doing and not being. And so embodiment is not about performing, but it's about alignment. And so let's give some examples about embodiment. So if you want to feel chosen, walk slowly, like someone who knows that they're already chosen, that they're already a priority. Stop checking your phone every 2 minutes. Stop checking your phone every 2 minutes. You know that you're going to receive a message, or you know that people are just soaking up what you're putting down. Or sit at dinner and save your food like a woman who's getting taken care of. You don't need to rush through this food. You don't need to hide how you're eating the food. You don't need to eat the food like it's your last meal and you're never going to get another one. Just sit down and savor it. Enjoy it. If you want to attract more money or more success, dress in a way that reflects that next level self, even at home. That means putting away the t-shirts and the sweatpants that have holes and stains on them. I don't think that's really reflecting like you have money or success. It may be comfortable, but we want to elevate it a little bit more. And it doesn't mean you can't be comfortable, because listen, I love to be comfortable, but finding ways to just be cozy and clean and still put together no matter what. Organize your space like someone who values and respects what you own. Tip generously, speak clearly, and stop apologizing for taking up space. People who have money, people who are successful, don't operate this way. They are not stingy. They are not penny pinching and holding on to every last dime. Even if they have a lot of money, but they're not wealthy, so it's a consciousness. It's a frequency. If you want to attract love, you have to absolutely speak to yourself gently before anyone else does. Speak to yourself the way you want to be spoken to. That's the first step. Practice eye contact and openness without forcing availability. Treat your daily rituals like an act of devotion to yourself. You want someone to be devoted to you. You want someone to be committed to you. You must commit and be devoted to the things that are important to you. Whether it's sipping on tea or taking a shower or your skincare or your routines or your exercise or journaling or praying or whatever it is that helps you to feel like you. And if you want to feel magnetic, dance before a meeting or date or content creation. Open up your hips. Wear soft fabrics and perfume even when no one is around. And say no with softness and confidence. Being magnetic requires for you to be very selective. So when you're just open and you're like, okay, everybody can come in, that's not magnetic. Magnetic means that you are going to attract something that is a magnet to you. So if you have a magnet, you can't put a piece of paper on the magnet and think it's going to stick. it has to be another magnet. So there has to be this pulling in effect with the magnetism. Embodiment is the feminine form of faith. And so if embodiment is a feminine form of faith, then the masculine form of faith is going to be action. And so when you're looking at the masculine form of faith, you're using structure as a form of belief. So it's like saying, because I believe in this vision, I will build a container for it. You're creating a plan before the outcome is visible. You're holding the discipline to show up even when it's not glamorous. You're following through even when motivation fades. And you begin to protect what's sacred. You're believing in something enough to guard it with your boundaries. You're saying no to distractions. You're protecting the vision with your time, focus, and integrity. You're being loyal to your word and your focus. You move towards what you desire, not to chase it, but to honor it. You're saying, I want this. I'm going to show up for you. You're reaching out with presence, not panic. You're taking aligned action without controlling the outcome. You're setting an intention and you're taking action towards it. So that's where I think a lot of us have been when it comes to faith, is really being in the masculine form of things when we're trying to manifest or we believe in something. And that is all very important. I really do believe that you have to have both of those energies to really make things come to fruition. But focusing back onto the feminine, since we are talking about the feminine code, it's being before seeing. So because I believe, I become the woman who receives it. You show up in your softness without needing proof or evidence. You embody the energy of your desires now, not after you achieve something. You tend to your inner world as if it already holds everything that you need. You're waiting with openness, not anxiety. You're not waiting and you're shaking your foot the whole time or you're biting your nails. You create space. You're not chasing after it. So think about creating spaces. Creating spaces to receive. I always say when it comes to feminine manifestation, it's kind of like when a spider creates a web. You build it, you create the space, and sure enough, you are intentional. You know that something is going to get into that web because you set the intention, you created the space for it. You're not trying to control timelines. You surrender through rituals, through slowness, through self-trust. You clear space in your body, in your calendar, and your womb to receive what you've asked for. And that is the biggest, most important thing that I think about when it comes to feminine faith and embodiment is you have to clear the space. You have to make room for you to receive. And so clearing space in your home, clearing out those emotions, clearing out whatever doesn't serve you, getting it out of your system, that is going to create the space for you to receive the things that are aligned with you. Allowing for your intuition to guide your steps. I trust what I feel before I see it. You don't need logic to validate what you already know. You follow the feeling, the softness, the nudge, the whispers that say, hey, try this. You follow that. You trust rest as a strategy and pleasure as alignment. You know that if something feels good to you, that means we're on the right track. I want to move in that direction. You're not saying like, oh yeah, that felt good, but it doesn't make sense. That's not going to be aligned with the feminine energy. You become magnetic by embodying the beauty, the presence, the truth. And when I say beauty, I mean harmony. Because what is in harmony, what is aligned, is beautiful. You stop begging and controlling and giving too much effort. You know your worth and you do not increase with more hustling. You don't feel like you have to give more and do more in order for you to receive that manifestation. You have faith to know that it's coming. So you're choosing safety in the unknown, knowing that everything is in divine timing. You're softening your body. You're relaxing. Relaxation is the number one sign of confidence. A lot of people think it's all puffing up your chest and I'm so good at this and so great at that. It's really about being relaxed. When someone is very relaxed in a setting, that means they know that they belong there. And if they know that they belong where they are, that means that they have confidence in that space. Opening your heart without rushing the outcome. We know that if we're just open and we're diligent and we do what we need to do, we're consistent and we're showing up and we're aligned with that, what we're aspiring to receive will come. And one of the other ways I love to step into feminine embodiment is through sensory alignment, dressing, eating, and speaking as your future self now is really powerful. I think the number one thing to start with is by changing your vocabulary. Changing the words that you use has so much power. Also, different scents is really powerful. So if you have a special candle that represents luxury and you want more luxurious experiences, just kind of creating this immersive experience that if you were to close your eyes, you almost feel like you are in the space you want to be in. That is the power of sensory alignment. And being emotionally present, not focusing on something that happened last week or years ago in these present moments that we need to show up for, but we are kind of in this state of being in the past. Or maybe we're focusing so much on the future that we're in this very anxious energy. But when you're emotionally present, you're responding to what is happening in that present moment. Not many people can do that. So that's everything I wanted to share with you today about the feminine code. And we have so many beautiful, pleasurable rituals and practices that you could do to activate this code. And the 30-day pleasure challenge, which is really just 30 days of pleasure rituals that you could do. I know sometimes when I say challenge, it feels like overwhelming, but it's really just 30 practices that you could do to shift your body out of burnout. There's so many there. So just click the link down below and it will take you right there. All right, so in the next episode, we're going to unlock the connection code, and we're going to talk about how your sacral energy creates emotional intimacy and resonance in your relationships and what happens when that code is out of alignment. All right, well, thank yourself so much for showing up today, and thank you for tuning in to the She Sacral podcast.